The High Court in Pretoria will hear arguments from the economic freedom fighters to have President Cyril Ramaphosa's CR17 financial statements unsealed. This virtual court sitting will hear why it's in the public interest to have the records made public. A report by embattled public protector advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane brought Ramaphosa's ANC campaign contents to light. Our Newzroom Afrika Senior reporter Tumaole Mohlaoli is tracking the story for you this morning. He joins us now live. Tumaole, I suppose let's begin with the heads of argument from the EFF. What are they saying to support this argument that these records should be unsealed?
Well, Michelle, as far as the EFF's arguments in terms of why these records should be made public, they want to basically detail just how far or whether the CR17 campaign and by association, President Cyril Ramaphosa, during his campaign to unseat the former President Jacob Zuma as head of the ANC, was effectively funded by parties that are now linked to state capture. That would be, of course, the center of controversy would be that the CR17 campaign received funding from Bosasa. Now, former Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa, the current president of the country, has said that he did not necessarily have any knowledge, direct knowledge of all the parties that would have contributed to his funding or to his campaign, and therefore he would not necessarily have approved of any individual or any organization that had questions or had a cloud over it to fund his campaign. So the Bosasa campaign was actually found to have been linked through a company linked to his son. And what the EFF and others are saying that the reason of to open this particular funding campaign and have access to his records is to establish just how far or if there are any links to the former deputy presidents, to those organizations that are linked to state capture. And this Ramaphosa is arguing is quite spurious because it would then just paint a generalization and then put him in the box with others who are now answering very tough questions before the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. We know that the former Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa has been participating with the State Capture Commission of Inquiry and at every turn basically calling for the State Capture Commission of Inquiry to be supported, even in his capacity as ANC President, to say those who have to answer must answer before the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. So this is why it is so important that this matter is before the court. For the EFF, many analysts and many commentators are saying it's more of for political grandstanding, more to score political points and to try and take shots at the president and try and create a controversy and link him to a state capture.
So Tumaole, let's take a look at what the CR17 respondents are saying. They say that the EFF should have actually used the Promotion of Access to Information Act, the PAIA Act, and it's saying that in this case, what the EFF is proposing doesn't take into account the rights, the privacy rights of the people involved in this case.
That is very correct, Michelle. This is the argument put forward by the former Deputy President, the current incumbent, Cyril Ramaphosa's legal team, to say that the right to privacy in this particular case, because what they are calling for is effectively a wholesale interrogation and opening up of his entire financial transactions. And this would then speak against the current legislation of the country, which governs the privacy of individuals. In fact, when it comes to this particular matter, what the President's legal team has said is that in terms of the EFF's application, they have no particular problem in providing legal or financial records as far as it relates to the matter in question, in terms of any relations to Bosasa specifically, or any donations or any financial links therefore. But to have an wholesale opening up and basically examination, fine-tooth comb examination of the former deputy president's financial statements, then basically impedes on his constitutional rights to privacy when it comes to financial matters, because effectively it will then open him up and all sorts of questions can then be raised, or all sorts of aspersions can then be drawn, whether they're factual or not, by what is found within those financial records, and that could possibly compromise him unfairly so if they aren't factual. So the fact of the matter is this particular court case will then have to speak to the matter of how far the opening up of those records goes. Does it link only to this particular matter where it is linked to Bosasa, and whether Bosasa participated or contributed to the campaign funds of the former deputy president, and whether he knowingly accepted those. As far as that goes, that would be very important to the investigation. But to open him up to public scrutiny as to where other funds would come from, his legal team would argue that this would then compromise him as an individual and compromise his rights that are protected by the laws of the country, the financial laws of the country, which are governed, of course, and endorsed and protected by the Constitution.
This case brought by the EFF to unseal those CR17 bank records heard in the High Court in Pretoria today. My colleague Tumaole Mohlaoli will be tracking it for us quite closely. Thanks very much for that, Tumaole.